let me give you an example. Let's pretend I make $25,000 a year. I put $1,000 into an RSP. That $1,000 contribution just saved me 25% in taxes. In other words, the government's going to give me $250 back. Let's pretend Liz, my wife, makes $50,000 a year. She puts the same $1,000 into an RSP. That $1,000 RSP saves her $320 in tax. And let's pretend all of you make $100,000. You put that same $1,000 into an RSP, that $100,000 now saves you $360. We've all put the same $1,000 in, but we all benefit differently because we're in different marginal tax brackets. Okay? So that's half the battle. Half the battle is, what is your marginal tax rate at the time of contribution? But remember what I said, eventually, when you take the money out, you then have to pay back the taxes. So, when you pay the taxes back, at what rate do you pay them back at? Marginal tax rate, right? So, in that same example, if I make $25,000 a year, but now I'm pulling $1,000 out of my RSP, I don't get to keep $1,000, do I? Because I got to pay $250 to the government, so I get to keep $750 in my pocket. Liz makes $50,000 a year. She takes $1,000 out of her RSP. She doesn't get to keep the $1,000. She has to pay $320 to the government. And all of you who benefited on the way in, guess what? If you take it out when you're making $100,000 of income, you now pay $360 in tax, and you only get to keep $640. Okay? But here's the interesting thing. You are now armed with the information you need to make good RSP decisions. Okay? If money goes in, gets a deduction, and money comes out, gets taxed, what is the ideal scenario for money going in and out of the RSP from a tax perspective? You got it. It's common sense. Put it in a high rate, take it out in a low rate. So if I put $1,000 in when I'm in the 39% bracket, remember what the government does, they give me $390. The only thing is they don't give it to me, they're really lending it to me. Because at some point in time I got to pay it back. But if I take it out when I'm in a 25% bracket, I don't pay back $390, I pay back $250. In other words, I just made 14% off the government on top of any investment returns. Is that a good deal? That's a fantastic deal. Okay? Now, if that's a good deal, and that's the way you should use RSPs, the proper use of RSPs, what would be the improper use of RSPs? The opposite, right? The opposite. You put it in a 25% bracket, the government gives you $250, but they're not giving it to you, they're just lending it to you. But when you take it out, if you're in a 39% bracket, you don't pay back $250, you pay back $390. What's that called? Stupid! Don't do it! Think about that. That is really stupid, isn't it? It's the last thing that you want to do. That's called the improper use of RSPs. So the ideal use of RSPs is simply put it in a bracket, put it in a higher bracket than when you take it out. Okay? So you need to know both. You need to know what your marginal tax rate is today and what it might be in the future when you go to take it out.